to the September 12, 2024 meeting of Burlington's Conservation Commission. This meeting or hearing of the commission will be held in person at the main meeting room at Town Hall. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technical problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. Let's do a roll call. Please signify you're here by saying present or here. Commissioner Ed Laturco.
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Walensky.
Here.
Commissioner Bill Boyven.
Here.
Commissioner Indra Deb.
Here.
Commissioner Rob Sheehan.
Here.
That's 5. Commissioner Larry Cohen, the chair, is, for the record, is here. Commissioner Kent Moffett is noted as absent. Okay. Let's talk about the agenda. On this agenda, we have a few items here. Number 4 is a request for a certificate of compliance, completion for erosion and sedimentation control permit, or otherwise known as a stormwater permit, for 25 and 27 Blue Sky Drive. It was formerly known as Network Drive by the Nordblum Company. This request will be heard on our next meeting, scheduled for our next meeting, September 26, 2024. Furthermore, we have on the agenda, we have, let's see, we have, under other business, we have Nikki Cadillac of Burlington Buzz. She was going to come here and make some comments, but she is otherwise occupied at our local beer garden, which is in effect as we speak. Okay, she has a table there that is being occupied by her. All right, so I think with that, and number 8 was advertised as a hearing, but it's labeled as a discussion. We are going to table the actual hearing for discussing proposed revisions to stormwater and erosion sedimentation bylaw. We'll have a few brief comments talking about its purpose, but the actual hearing will be opened at the next meeting of September 26, 2024. Do we need a motion to continue that at all? Did we never open, not opening
We're
it?
not even opening it, so I don't think so.
Okay. All right, so next is public comment. Do we have anyone here online or in the audience who has something they would like to talk about that's not on the agenda?
So I believe the request for removal of the trees was on today's agenda as well?
Yes, it's on the agenda, so you don't have to bring it up yet. We'll be there in a few minutes. Yeah, thank you for checking. I don't see anything else, so the record should show there is no one here for public comment. Next, we have listed on the agenda the minutes of July 11th, but those were already approved at the last meeting, so we don't have to do those again. Next, we have the meeting of August 8th, 2024, the minutes. We did get them. Anybody have any issues to discuss?
Nope, they look good.
Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of August 8th, 2024?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, 0. It is approved. All right. We'll skip down now to item 5A. Notice is given that the commission will hold a public meeting during which time a request for determination of applicability filed by Adi Hode for the removal of trees within bordering lands subject to flooding in the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. The property is located at 1 Hemlock Lane in Burlington. The commission will thereafter issue a determination. The application is being heard pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, which is also called the Wetlands Protection Act, and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. And a copy of this application is available by requesting to email conservation@burlington.org. Okay, someone here for 1 Hemlock? All right, the guest of honor seat, I guess, is right now in the center, right there. And so you can have a seat. And the way this works is you introduce who you are, you state your address for the record, and then you say whatever you would like to say about what's being proposed, and then we just handle it from there for you.
Sure. Greetings, everybody. Good evening. My name is Adi Hode, and I am the owner of One Hemlock Lane, and I reside there as the homeowner. And thank you all for taking this meeting. The acceptance of being able to take down the trees is something that I was pleased to see. However, I had a few questions of clarification that I would like to know, given the bittersweet is the problem that is an invasive plant, whatever you want to call it,
Sure.
Taking over that area, and given the fact that we want to preserve the wetlands, what are our options for being able to remove the bittersweet effectively? And the whole point of removing the trees in general was because it was too close in proximity to the home. And while we do want to preserve the wetlands, I just wanted to also get a point of clarification on when/where the trees need to be planted, and what's the timeline on that?
Okay, I got it.
Well, he's referring to the draft decision, which we haven't. given
Right.
back to yet.
Right, we'll get there. So let's just first state, for the record, you want to remove 3, was it white pine trees? Is that what they are? 3 pine trees, and that are not in such good shape.
Correct.
And they have the additional feature of bittersweet vines all over them. Nice going.
Inherited, purchased in 2022, so.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's call on staff, either Lucy or Eileen, please.
Okay, this is going to share the plan.
Sure.
What I just discovered recently is, that mouse was so much better. You can touch the thing to make it bigger than 100, so we can zoom in. So, as Adi was explaining, so he does want to take down those 3 trees. He has had an arborist. If you just touch, okay.
Oh, it's getting weirder.
I'll just let her deal with that. Oh, nice. The arborist has, he didn't necessarily say that they were in particularly bad shape, but they're definitely well covered with vines, which I suppose he thinks might affect their health. One of them is very close to the house and maybe in the poorest shape of the 3. They are in bordering land subject to flooding and very close to wetland. The tree that's furthest on the right, sort of in the rightmost picture, is probably between 10 and 15 feet from the wetland. So I don't think the staff has any issues with him taking down those trees, but we would definitely want to see them replaced, mostly because of the proximity to the wetland. But frequently when somebody's asking us to take down trees so very close to wetland, you sometimes ask them to leave the stumps in place or leave a trunk in place. But if you do that, then you don't necessarily have very much space to put a new living tree that's going to be taking up water, which I think he actually should be sort of hoping to do, because he's so close to wetland and so close to floodplain that you don't want to make the back of your yard any wetter by not having a lot of vegetation back there. And we can talk, in discussion, maybe we can talk a little bit about bittersweet removal, but that's not really our purview.
Okay, let's just go around the table and see if they have questions or comments, and let's see where this goes. Ed?
I pretty much agree that the trees are in bad shape. The biggest concern clearly is what you put back. I kind of found it interesting that there wouldn't be much space. I kept asking myself, where would you put new trees if you left something still in the ground?
Right,
That's about all. I'm still asking that same question.
right. All right, Sarah?
My thoughts are mostly the vines themselves. I mean, any new tree you put there, or snags you might leave behind if that's what's required, the bittersweet's just going to take it over. So you kind of have to have a management plan, or you're just going to have a whole lot of bittersweet. And I mean, we've dealt with bittersweet in our yard in Burlington by just pulling it up and cutting it. It's not like Japanese knotweed that loves to be cut. I mean, I know the old saying is bittersweet always wins, but it seemed like a fairly localized area, and I bet you might have a chance of conquering it. Especially if you pulled it off those trees, I wondered if the other two might be saved. The one closest to the house looked terrible to me, but the other two I thought were kind of iffy. I know they're just white pines, they're not like some special wonderful hardwood. I wouldn't really have a problem with you cutting them down if that was what you thought you should do. But I think there has to be a vision for the bittersweet, or that problem is not going anywhere. That's my thoughts.
All right, let's go over to Rob.
I'm not, it does look like it's a little bit tight for plantings, but on the other hand, it sounds, I agree that, something
It would only be tight if you're asking him to leave the
to
stumps in
leave
place.
the snacks. Yeah.
If you let him take out the stumps, then he's got plenty of room to put 3 much
Yeah.
smaller trees.
Yes, I think that's.
So I should have made that clearer when I was speaking. Sorry.
And with bittersweet, I think it's near the start of the growing season, so in the spring. I removed it, like a 2-inch lopper with these big things, and just go and cut any type of vines. Sometimes they can get pretty big, and that, like periodically have to do that because it's sort of creeping back into the trees. But I've had trees die, or like strangled by it as well. But yeah, it's something that just needs to be sort of around, clip it.
Indra?
No, I don't have anything. I agree
Bill?
with Sarah.
Yeah, I agree that I think those trees are not of much ecological value. The vines have certainly compromised them quite a bit on one more than the others. And that adds extra weight to the tree. It's an extra surface for snow, which would add even more weight to the tree. So I think it isn't wise to take them down. You gotta be careful what you mean by removing the stumps. If you're just cutting the trees and grinding the stumps, there's still no place to dig a new hole. So, if you really wanted to plant trees in the same location, you'd have to pull the stumps.
Actually, the stump for a pine tree, those size pine tree may not be all,
They're
a machine might be able to just yank them right out for
Right,
you.
right.
If you had somebody that had a backhoe, I'm not sure, but it just, generally speaking, it's a shallower
Yeah.
root ball than an oak tree or something.
Am I able to chime in?
Sure.
I appreciate all of your input, and the main concern, as well as the tree with, the bittersweet, the key bit is that it's so close to the home. So I am happy to go ahead and, play ball and, replant trees. However, does it have to be in that specific location again? Because that would just be kicking the can down the road potentially with having more
Well,
trees.
here's the thing. You're in an area of bordering land subject to flooding, correct?
Yep,
Those trees,
yes.
yes. And there'll be a tendency for the water to spread if there's no vegetation taking up the water. So something like, that does well in both wet and dry conditions, like a red maple, you plant 3 red maples, I'm not sure, they may not agree, I don't know, but I thought it might be a good, for this situation, might be a good pick for you.
Can I ask him a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you look at the plan, I didn't, when we were out at the site, I actually didn't look at how far the wetland extended towards the right. Did anybody else? It's just this older plot plan seems to suggest that there might be room, if he wanted to put some maples maybe on their right-hand side, or something, it doesn't have to be maples, but, some trees. I'd definitely be open to that. It's still in the floodplain, and it's very near the wetland, but I'm not sure whether he might be outside the wetland. You don't necessarily want to be going into it. Well,
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to be, ideal would be,
But that would be a compromise.
it'd be good to be in somewhere in the contiguous floodplain, not necessarily wetland to soak up water.
It is still floodplain
Okay,
back there,
Right.
so,
so I think that's fine. I mean, I think we can leave it to a discussion in the field between you and the staff, if you want, if the commission's okay with that.
Yeah, I think it's fine to plant them on the other side. And the main idea is to get that, as Larry said, the greens help suck water out of the ground. If you just cut them all down, your wetness would be even worse.
And in fact, they actually, using Bill's words, suck a lot of water.
But to your point, they're not gonna suck a lot of water, and they're also not going to menace your house for decades. I mean, it's true you'd be kicking the can down the road, but maybe to the next owner, literally. I mean, especially if you plant hardwoods, they grow very slowly.
And
Well,
hardwoods
there you
have
are, a
deeper
spoiler.
roots. The hardwoods have deeper roots, especially like red maples that are used to growing in swamps. You know, they should be able to root themselves more securely than a white pine.
All right, let's see, is there anyone else in the audience that wants to make a comment on this at all? No? Okay, so we have what is called a negative conditional determination, which means we put a few routine conditions on it, but your project is approved as long as you adhere to some routine conditions, and we'll go through it, and then you can ask questions, and we can sort out the details if there's anything to talk about.
Okay, and I would speak with Eileen and
Yes,
and
yeah,
the
but
team.
we're going to review it and then vote on it first, so we can probably get you the approval.
Very good, thank you.
Do you want to share it? Well, I'll just share the one, because I was just opening it because it sounds like we need to make a tweak on something about the location.
Absolutely.
I've got it right here, that's fine. It's no
Okay.
problem. I've got a version right here, at least.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess this isn't the version.
Oh, sorry.
This is an offsite version, my desktop version. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Everything's good.
Okay, so to go through, and we had shared this with Adi earlier, which sometimes it almost causes trouble because then they like to ask questions before we've even discussed the meeting. So he had provided the RDA itself, a map showing the extent of the bordering vegetated wetlands from the older FEMA maps, and a letter from his arborist. The applicant proposed to cut 3 trees at 1 Hemlock Lane in the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands and bordering land subject to flooding. Wetland resource areas were not delineated. For the purpose of this filing, the commission makes no finding as to the exact boundaries of the wetlands. Resource areas in sight. The closest tree is approximately 15 feet from the BBW. That was probably generous. All are within the floodplain and are covered in bittersweet vines. Certified arborist provided a letter providing concern regarding saturated soil vines and proximity of the vines to the house. Oh, the commission voted to waive the 20-foot no disturb since that tree is close, so we should remember that. And what we're saying is this assuming they vote for this decision that you're going to receive is only for work described now. So it'll only be for the tree work, and anything else you'd have to come in front of us again for. The applicant may proceed with 3 tree removals. Removal of any other trees would require additional approval from the commission or agent, and may require submission of written assessment by a certified arborist that they also pose a hazard or in significant decline. For tree trimming or removals that are not feasible to do by hand, machinery shall be located in the driveway or existing lawn areas, so just make sure you don't go anywhere near the wetland itself. 3 native trees, it says width. I don't know what the width is. That's amazing. Shall be planted on site and replacements for the vegetation removed. Species, and what we're going to add is species and location, okay? So we're not going to say it has to be in the same spot. Species and location shall be determined in consultation with staff. So we'll either go out to your site or we'll have a chat next week. Trees that fail to survive within 2 growing seasons should be replaced. No dumping of landscaping or other materials into your wetlands. Anything that does fall in should be immediately removed. Don't use pesticides, herbicides, or fungicides within the wetlands or within 100 feet of the wetlands unless otherwise approved by the commission. Fertilizer may be used as a slow-release phosphorus-free fertilizer. And the last part just gives us permission to just sort of go and check to see that, look at the tree, the process as you're taking out and putting in your trees.
Okay, let's see if people have any questions on the commission, and then we'll go to you, okay? Any questions by the commission?
No.
So we're not saying leave the stumps? I think that might be cosmetically undesirable, that's just my opinion.
That, I don't know, that's up to you. You often ask them to leave the stumps, but that's in
Well, is it- and
wetland.
somebody's-
He's near wetland.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't think it's a good idea in such a confined space.
That's kind of where I'm.
You want me to add that as an extra thing? Stumps may be removed.
Yeah, I also have something else, too.
All right.
Is the commission okay with that, with letting him take the stumps if he wants?
Yeah, in this case.
Now, assuming you hired somebody with a backhoe and just pull them out, then you would dispose of them. If you have to have them, if you decide to have them, or the only thing to do is to grind them, I'm not sure, then you're going to have these grindings all over the place. So the question is, do they just spread them around and let them decompose, or do you ask for them to be removed? It's a relatively small tree, so it's not a lot. If it was a huge stump, it could be an enormous amount of grinding. I mean, you can have yay deep.
And additionally, if I may, the timing of when we plant the new trees, if we are doing it in that space, are we able to tackle the problem of bittersweet first? And there's no,
That's what I would do,
Yeah.
of course. Of course.
Yes.
I just want to make sure we're
Quite a lot of
compliant.
bittersweet will be gone or torn out in the process, and then you just want to kind of keep on it like Sarah was saying, like, you know, mowing, pulling in the spring, and then when your place looks pretty clear, then you could
Okay.
I mean,
actually replant. You'll just have to be kind of fairly on top of it, though. so that
it's
don't start going.
a real pain in the neck, to be honest with you.
Welcome to home ownership 101,
Yes.
first home. so.
But it is a sensitive environment, so you're not allowed to use pesticides, or herbicides, I mean, you know, to spray on it.
Roundup.
We have, yes.
Someone in the audience.
Someone in the audience.
Is there precedent for tarping? Like if we black tarped the area?
I don't know that that's something that you do for bittersweet. That is something people definitely used to do or thought about doing for knotweed, and it's not recommended anymore. Lucy's apparently looking it up right now. You could, I suppose, if you choose not to plant there, I think we would be open to you tarping for a season or two.
Okay. Could you just state your name for the record so we have it in the thing?
Sure, Jackson Meyer, 9 Woodside Lane.
Thanks. Okay. I mean, I know who you are, but we need it for the record.
I'm going all around.
Everybody knows you? I won't ask.
Can I finish this sentence, though? So
Yes.
What are we saying? I wrote, the stumps of existing trees may be removed. Then you were wondering about the whole,
About grinding, if you're grinding the stumps, do the grindings have to, should the grindings be removed, or can they just be spread around?
I don't think we've addressed that in our decision.
It's organic material, I mean, it's just,
Well, the thing is, I know if it's a large tree, you have a lot of stuff when they grind, especially because they grind below the surface to try and get as much as possible, okay? On the other hand, these are relatively small trees.
it's basically pine mulch, right?
Well, how about we just say, if grinding, avoid dumping ground in the wetland, but it could be everywhere else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Grinding, but do you have anything else about, if some existing trees may be removed, and if you grind them, that's what we're doing?
The
Do you-
grindings can
did
be
you want to
spread
add
around.
Something else about the pulling it up?
What's that?
Did you want to add something else about pulling it up? or
I mean,
is
I
that-
think it's up to him, whichever's most cost efficient for him, because grinding is not cheap. It might be less expensive to hire somebody to just,
Plus, if it's out, you got flexibility of what you want to replant.
yeah, you'll do it the most cost-effective way, and from my perspective, grinding kind of makes a mess, so if you can avoid it, you would do that. So, all right, is there anything else? All right,
Existing trees may be removed if grinding the sawdust may be applied on-site, avoiding the wetland,
right.
right?
Okay, now, let's go back to your questions. You said timeline, when and where, are you all set with that? You can remove the bittersweet first, then plant at some point. It would likely, are we getting into where they could go as in the spring?
He could do his replanting in the spring, is that what you
Yeah.
mean? Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he definitely could, yep.
Yeah, so is that what you're thinking?
I haven't thought that far, to be quite honest. I'm trying to deal with one problem at a time. I just learned that I had to
I mean, if
replant,
it
so.
go-
That would give him a chance to, tackle the knotweed.
And the decision is good for how long? 3 years, right?
3 years.
You got theoretically, you got 3 years, but,
Oh, beautiful. Okay, we're in good shape then.
yeah, so I think,
All right.
you're not under any pressure from
Okay.
us, so to speak, but,
Yeah, I want to make sure that the bittersweet is as handled as possible before, if we even want to
We
put
got it.
something there. Yeah,
That's
thank you.
sure thing.
3 years
All
is
right,
great.
so if there's nothing further, could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for this project as described at 1 Hemlock Lane under Burlington Bylaw, Article 14, and the Wetlands Protection Act?
Is that going to be put in?
Second? Second. All those in favor? 600, it's approved.
Great.
The waiver,
What?
waiver,
Waiver
sorry,
for,
we mentioned voting to waive the 20-foot no disturb setback since one of the trees is quite close. Do you mind?
Okay,
Just add that.
so 20-foot no disturb,
Yeah.
is it?
Yes.
Okay, because we're doing work in there.
Recruiting.
I'm pretty sure one of those trees is within the 20 feet.
All right. For the purposes of removing the 3 trees that need to be removed at 1 Hemlock Lane, can I have a motion to waive the 20-foot no disturb setback regulation of the Conservation Commission?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? 600. One other thing here. It's not related to the project, but the plan you submitted says proposed deck 12 by 20 on it, right?
I'm sorry? What is that?
Isn't this,
It's long before he moved in.
there's a, this plan says proposed deck 12 by 20. on the-
That was the previous homeowner.
And is that deck there, by the way?
It is.
That's right. I would think after 11 years, they got it, 12 years, they got it in. Okay. Eileen, if we're going to have a file and to not be confused going forward, do we need something in the findings of the decision that the words proposed deck 12 by 20 doesn't refer to this project? And if someone looks at this, they're going to say, a deck was proposed. That's what it says. It's written in handwriting.
I guess the other question would be, if that was a project that came before us at that time in
Right.
2010,
Yeah.
was there a certificate of completion done?
Well, it was probably a determination. We can double
Okay,
check
so
it
it
right
wouldn't
now.
be-
So there wouldn't have been.
Wouldn't have been.
And I think we probably gave that to him just as something that he could use. Did we give that to you?
I believe you did,
To-
yeah.
So
Me or
it-
Lucy
so it-
gave it to him so that he could just draw the trees on.
So
for
that's
his-
just historical
Just for his
document.
benefit, exactly. So
So we don't have to, this note, handwritten note, won't be confusing as current?
I don't think so, because all our descriptions just.
It's about trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in the files,
I don't-
there is an older determination for the.
All right. I just thought I'd mention it because the official plot and record says proposed deck.
Right, I guess we should have just had him scribble that out. Still can.
And just quickly on the approval, did it say anywhere on that draft that you created that just got approved about the timeline, that we have 3 years to replant?
That's automatic.
Okay, very good. Just
A
wanted to-
determination is valid for 3 years. I can't remember if it says it right on it, on the thing you get. You will receive, this is dated next Tuesday, because we have to, do our paperwork. And then from next Tuesday, you've got 3 years.
Very good, okay. Thank you all.
No problem.
One comment about bittersweet, do not throw it into a chipper shredder and think you can just spread it around. That's one of those things that has to be cut, bagged, and get it off the property.
Very good.
Right, for any invasives, in fact, very good point, Bill.
Yeah.
Don't just put it in with your yard waste, please.
No.
Put it
I also found that
put it in a plastic bag with the trash.
you got Iron Tree Service to do this little write-up. It's just a comment. He says that the reason the trees need to be removed is in a very rainy season, it could lead to oversaturation of the soil and could make the trees more prone to failure. I would have thought, based on seeing a lot of these assessments, that the forking in the tree is often what leads to the failure point in a major storm or something like that. I was just a little bit surprised that he didn't reference that at all, because all 3 of those trees are growing like this.
Yeah, he mentioned that to me verbally, and I was also surprised that it was not making that in, so,
Okay, we're on the same page. Okay,
very good.
great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a good evening.
You as well.
Okay, so next on the agenda is a continued public hearing for a continued notice of intent, 34 County Road, SJ Peacock Builders Incorporated, to demolish a dwelling and construct a new dwelling at 35 County Road. Mr. Peacock, are you here?
So I don't
Scott, it's Steve Dresser here, too. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
How you doing?
Steve,
Yeah, I
how are you?
think Scott's here, his name's there, but I can start the discussion.
Please.
This will continue, Steve Dresser, Dresser Williams and Way, representing Scott Peacock in the matter before you. This is a continued public hearing. We did come in front of the commission and discuss the project. There were a couple suggested revisions, which we undertook, which were, we had initially filed this as an isolated vegetated wetland. It was misidentified, but now it's corrected to a bordering vegetated wetland. There was testimony of a culvert, and you can see up, I don't know if I can, up by the, where it says 10-foot wide slope easement, that's actually a culvert that does hydrologically connect the wetlands to a system. So it is, in fact, bordering vegetated wetland. So we added that pipe, and we also were asked to add, there's 2 trees out front. If you go down to the front, the hickory trees there.
Right.
That he has had an arborist look at. He's going to do, I think, selective trimming, if I remember right, but leave the trees there. So we were asked to place those. I have gone over the conditions. Everything looks good. The numbers look good on the stormwater management, Eileen, and I think we're ready to move forward from there.
Great, Steve, thank you. Eileen, what's the status? Is there anything else missing from this application?
No, as Steve said, they provide a revised plan, which was all the additional extras that we talked about or you asked for. We asked for a letter from an arborist, and we received that, and we sent it around to you guys, where he said he can just trim the trees, and he can do so without damaging them, I think. And Lucy was by there today, and she said the trimming has happened. I did let you know that was going to happen. I was pretty sure it wasn't going to be an issue because they weren't taking them down. They were just trimming.
Right.
Did they look pretty good?
Pretty good. Yeah. They're nakeder, but but that's because
They
they've
were
been trimmed.
They were trimmed trees. So I don't think there's anything outstanding, and I think it's generally fairly straightforward.
Ready to move forward?
Yes.
All right, from the commission's point of view, 35 County Road, is there anyone on the commission that has a remaining comment?
I just want to point out that I did watch the video. I wasn't here at the last meeting, so I am eligible to vote. And I had just one question. It says a 10-foot wide slope easement. What exactly is a slope easement? I'm not familiar with that. Is that just happen to be an easement that's got a slope on it, or what makes it a slope?
It's hard to, but yeah, I would say when the construction of Clifford Road happened and they had to put the road in order to make the grade meet, they needed to grade onto this property, which would require a slope easement to come onto the property. That way nobody goes in 20 years down the road and cuts out the grade, and undermines the road.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that has to be left.
All right, anyone else have a comment? All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone else in the audience or they're online for 35 County Road? It's a proposed house at 35 County Road. All right, no one wants to comment further, so I guess we have some draft documents to,
If you'd like.
we have a set of findings and some conditions, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you start with the bylaw, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
With the bylaw.
Yes, we usually do, because
Did the applicant get a copy, a draft of these?
yes, they did, and Steve.
We did.
I had asked just that for them to just check some numbers, make sure we understood everything correctly, and I think Steve was okay with that, so we can probably go through it
Yes.
really fast.
Oh,
Okay,
Where did it go away?
yes, it did.
Oh, okay.
Where'd it go?
Sure. It can come back now.
Okay, you know what, I'm gonna have to open it myself because it's too small for me to read. I usually have it right in front of me, so I'll do that. I'll just put it in front of myself, and then Lucy will move it along if she needs. Okay. So, come on, open. I have the, I'm sorry, everybody, it's a slow day for our computers,
It
apparently.
really is.
All right. So a notice of intent bylaw application was filed for demolition of an existing dwelling and construction of a new single-family dwelling within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands at 35 County. The project also included installing an infiltration system for the house and driveway, grading around the house and over the infiltration systems. Existing vegetation between the BVW and proposed construction shall remain. Next part is the filing history, which I don't think we need to go through, and the plans were as As we saw last week, and both the plan and just the plan was updated. The stormwater report did not have to be updated. And they have also since then provided the letter from the arborist. The work would be within the 100-foot buffered zone to bordering vegetated wetland. The closest point of the proposed house would be approximately 50 feet from the BVW. The existing house was 38 feet, so it's further away. The weir for the stormwater infiltration chamber, the closest disturbance would be approximately 24 feet from BVW. The commission is finding that the bordering vegetated wetland delineation is accurate. It's exempt from the Mass Stormwater Management Regulations, but they are, the bylaw requires a performance standard for the buffer zone, which they are meeting. The applicant is proposing to infiltrate the rear roof into storm tech chambers, and some of the front roof will go to ground, and that water plus the driveway water will either trend to or be directed to a trench with a 4-inch pipe, and then overflow from that will go back to the rear chambers. And in addition, they will apply standard erosion control. And we are proposing a bond in the amount of $3,500. But let's switch over to the order. Lucy is doing as I do this as well. Okay, so again, we're referencing the same plans. I'm not going to read every condition because Steve and Scott Peacock know them very well. All the first several are standard. The order is permitting work within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands, and no work within any wetland resource has been permitted by this decision. The applicant has to give us notice before construction happens that they are installing the erosion controls. We will go out to visit them on site. We will ascertain at that time or earlier that the order has been filed at the Registry of Deeds, that they have paid their bond. We will go out into the field to make sure everything is marked up. We are asking for, they show 9-inch straw wattles, but because this is a wetland filing, we're also asking for sediment fabric, filter fabric fence around the limit of work. Materials should not be stockpiled within 50 feet of the wetlands, nor at a location that would allow materials to run into the street, and a stockpile shall be at least 20 feet from the street. Keep the street clean on a daily basis, and we have the right to require additional erosion control. For work involving filling and grading, that is only going to be, that may only be according to the plan that has been submitted. Pollution control, these are mostly very standard. Anything that's dropped into the wetlands shall be removed, and nothing shall be dumped in the wetlands. Let us know if something happens, if there's a spill. No using pesticides, herbicides, or fungicides within 100 feet of the wetlands. For stormwater management, this is a repeat of the stormwater is going into either chambers or a trench. For buffer zone work, no tree removals are permitted by this decision. However, 3 hemlock trees and 2 hickory trees shall be trimmed, and we think that's already been done. We're suggesting that they do install some posts with signs identifying the area behind. This is a laboriously written sentence that I think I should probably fix, and I wrote it, so sorry about that. What I said was posts with signs identifying the area behind the existing vegetation line in front of the BBW should be installed, indicating that, oh my God, okay, I'll write that better. But basically I'm suggesting that they put signs in front of where all the grapes are right now, just to indicate that everything behind there should remain untouched. And that should remain in perpetuity. And then we won't sign for a certificate of occupancy unless the site is pretty stable, and the rest are exactly what you need to get your certificate of compliance.
Okay, thank you. That was good, I guess. Does anyone have any changes to the findings, the draft at all? Any changes to the draft of the order? All right, so there's nothing further. So I guess, could I have a motion, therefore, to close the hearing. Well, before I ask that, Mr. Dresser, did you have any questions on anything you've heard in the order or the findings?
Nope, we're good.
You're all set?
Yep, no problem.
All right, good, thank you. All right, could I have a motion to close the hearing at 35 County Road?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 600. Could I have a motion to approve the findings under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for the project located at 35 County Road, DEP file number 122-708?
Since this is bordering, shouldn't that have the state in there as well?
The findings are under Burlington Bylaw only. They don't,
The findings are under bylaw only, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah, is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Six.
Abstain.
Oh, okay, 501.
Actually, Larry, can I abstain on the votes as well, because I'm in a butter?
You're on a butter.
Yeah,
You'd like to abstain?
yeah,
So how about 402 then?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Does that change?
all right. Okay, could I have a motion to,
I'm going to say,
to approve the order of conditions for 35 County Road for DEP file number 122-708 under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 in the State Wetlands Protection Act? Second?
Second.
All those in favor? 402. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to do that. That's next. All right, next. The request for a performance surety in the amount of $3,500, is that correct?
yes.
Could I have a motion to that effect asked for under Burlington Bylaw Article 14?
So moved.
Second? Any further discussion on this? All in favor? 402. All right, Mr. Dresser, Mr. Peacock, you're all set?
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right, have a good night. Good luck with the project.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Take care.
Where things are fairly straightforward and not particularly complicated, we're just generally leaving a bond for a single-family house at $3,500. If it's complicated or for some reason you want to change it, that's totally fine, but that's what we're just popping in as single-family house.
As long as,
Try and keep it fairly consistent.
as long as we're consistent.
Well, I mean, some projects are more complicated than
Right.
others, or they're right on top of the wetlands or something.
Right.
So
That's fine.
I'm just saying.
Makes sense? Thank you. All right, we're going to go to number 7. Notice is given, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing. We'll take all information related to a notice of intent filed by Dan Milano for the demolition of a dwelling and construction of a new dwelling at 5 Fowler Terrace. The proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetland pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, known as the Wetlands Protection Act, and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. The commission will be reviewing all information relative to this application and may issue an order of conditions and a Burlington Wetlands permit for the project. This application may be viewed at the link provided at the Conservation Commission's website. All those filing materials are there. Okay, is there someone here for this project at 5 Fowler Terrace?
The numbers as well.
Yeah,
Hi there.
good. How you doing?
Good, so like the others, you have a seat, you introduce yourself, where you live,
Sure.
or who you're affiliated with, and
Why don't you just go into
then you get to talk first.
Sure thing.
the, do you not have it? Oh.
My name is Paul Campbell. I'm the surveyor and engineer, Chess Engineering, here representing Dan Milo for 5 Fowler Terrace for this notice of intent. So Mr. Milanos is proposing to demolish a patio in his backyard and reconstruct it with a bigger patio. And the work is taking place is within bordering land subject to flooding, within bordering vegetated wetlands and in a riverfront area. The plan in front of you is a flood compensation plan to show that we're removing fill from the property to construct the patio, but we're not taking up any space in the flood zone. So the plan in front of you The patio, the existing patio is that hatched area behind his house there, and the proposed patio is going to take up where the existing one was and the darker, larger patio you see labeled proposed. The grades on the site, it generally slopes back from the house down towards the fence, toward the wetlands. And so the grades on the site are, the existing grade are shown in gray, and then the proposed grade of the new patio is shown in dark. So you'll see that the initial plan here was to just put the new patio at a lower elevation than what the ground was there now. But because he's expanding the patio size, the steps over there, which now currently go down to the existing grade, we're removing about a foot of material, so now he has to add another step. So that step adds to the flood compensation that you have to compensate for. In addition to that, he's also proposing a fence shown, that 13-foot long, 6-foot tall fence. And that in and of itself also takes up area in the flood zone. So where most of the flood compensation is happening at the patio, but there's some slight grading happening behind his house to make up for the fence and the extra step. So it's really minor numbers that we're talking about, but they require you to compensate for flood at every elevation. So it's not enough just to say 100 cubic, 100 gallons are being compensated for. You have to do it at each foot of elevation. So on the plan in front of you, there's a table with each elevation from 122, which is the lowest work that's being proposed or existing, up to the current flood elevation of 124.9. So there's 3 steps that you have to compensate for. There's no work happening between 122 and 123, so there's no change to the flood area. Between 123 and 124 is where we start to add some flood compensation. So there's a 147.7 cubic feet of volume added to the site at that elevation. And then overall, there's 254.7 cubic feet of flood being compensated for. So we recognize that we're in a bordering vegetated wetland, so we're proposing some erosion control by the fence before you get into the wetlands, and that's about it. So it's a pretty straightforward project. He hasn't chosen a patio surface, but it's going to be one of those like at grade, like paver type of patios. It's not a wood, deck or anything like that. So pretty straightforward, but here to take any questions.
Right, okay, so we'll go through this and.
Sure.
Eileen?
So that was well explained, thank you. I had a little bit of trouble understanding some of the numbers initially. Not that this is a big project in any way. That was actually part of the issue. The numbers, the changes are incrementally so small that they put a lot of work into what's actually a fairly small project. So as he explained, I'm so sorry, I actually missed your name.
Oh, sorry, it's Paul Campbell.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
This is all floodplain, so it's 1% floodplain. In the sort of back upper right corner of what you see on the screen, there is a stream, which is a regulatory stream on our streams map. So since everything was in the floodplain, as you all know, any filling has to be either to provide compensatory flood storage, or they have to like raise it up on piers, whatever it is. Obviously, a patio is impossible to raise up on piers. That's something that they want to do just at ground level. It is a very small project, so what by removing, if I understand correctly,
yes,
by removing the concrete pad and keeping the elevations where they're keeping them, and that just tweaking some elevations around there, they're actually proposing, they're not providing any incremental flooding. And as he explained, because it's a floodplain project, it has to have all these complicated calculations where they're providing foot-to-foot changes in either storage versus what they're filling. So they did that for a pretty small project. I do not have any issue with it. I think the only questions that I think some of us were left with were about the, what the patio is going to be made of, whether there'll be also some porosity in between the pavers. That would just help as well.
Yeah, so my client hasn't decided on the material yet. So if there's something in the order that you want to recommend, I'm sure he'd be open to that. This project is exempt from the storm. I forgot to mention that too. Things under 5,000 square feet are exempt. So this is less than 2,000 square feet. But I'm sure he's open to some sort of pervious, material. But yeah, he hasn't made a decision.
Okay, let's, thank you. Yeah. Anybody on the left have any comments on this? Anybody on the right have any comments?
Nothing for me.
I'll just say I thought this presentation was very straightforward, very well done.
Thank you.
Okay, it's very clear what you did, and generally speaking, if things aren't clear, you'll see a lot of questions begin to pop up.
Yeah.
That's not the case here, so it's very nicely done.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, so since this is a hearing, I need to ask, is there anyone in the audience for 5 Fowler Terrace? It's a proposed patio being put in at that location. I don't see anyone online or in the audience for this. So I did not hear, Eileen, I did not hear of anything these folks need to provide us for the next meeting. Normally, we do it in 2 steps. And this will just be approved, from what I can tell, at the next meeting,
Okay.
which is in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Is there anything they need to provide us at all?
No, I think between his explanation, and I will admit, we had some to and fro.
Yeah, I apologize.
I wasn't sure it was clear at first, and I think that now it is.
Yep.
No, I don't think there's anything. I just checked the portal just to see whether DEP had any comments, because I didn't see anything earlier today. They don't have any, so they don't, because sometimes they do in floodplain types of,
Is the DEP
Filings?
number been issued?
it has actually been issued.
Okay, which is not always the case.
That was very good. Did you guys use EDEP?
I'm sorry, say that again, I missed it.
Use EDEP?
I believe we mailed it physically, yeah.
Got a number already.
Yeah.
All right, so, assuming that's okay with you, we will continue this to our September 26th. We'll expect to close the hearing and go through the draft documents
Okay.
and vote on them.
Sounds great. Thank
Okay,
you.
could I have a motion to continue the hearing for 5 Fowler Terrace to the meeting of September 26th, 2024?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? 600.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Campbell, you're all set.
Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next is, we had a discussion listed as proposed revisions to stormwater and erosion sedimentation bylaw. The detailed discussion of this is postponed for when we open the hearing on September 26th.
I see that Susan's on, so she might be here for that.
Yes.
We should make that clear.
All right, so I'll just state what we're here, and if anyone has any comment, because we listed it as we advertised it as a hearing, but it was listed as a discussion, so we're going to open it at the next meeting. However, the purpose of what we're doing is we have a stormwater bylaw that has language giving us, the commission, the authority to administer the stormwater permit program. And in addition to that, in our wisdom, we put every single detailed applicability as well, information as well as stormwater performance standards into the bylaw, in our wisdom. So what happens is, if something's not working, we have to wait for town meeting. If we find we have to change something, which we don't have anything in mind right now, but if we have to change something, it's a little bit awkward to change a detailed technical requirement. So we're engaging into an effort. The purpose of this hearing is to take everything that leads to the authority, as a bylaw should, similar to what we do in wetlands, to administer the stormwater permit program and take everything that is related to the very nitty-gritty details of performance standards and the applicability of the permit and to who it's applicable to. We're going to take it out of the existing bylaw, and we're going to move it into a set of regulations, okay? And that's what this effort is. Now, that's my understanding, so I wanted to first go to Eileen. We might have somebody in the audience that wants to say something. Eileen, do you want to say anything more about this?
No, I think that was a succinct and a good explanation. We have a very robust bylaw that has, stood us, in really good stead for the last several years since it was created. But every time we want to make a small change, as Susan's very aware, I see that Susan's on here, it means we have to go to town meeting. So if we just had a simpler framework bylaw, then we can make these very small tweaks a little bit more easily without waiting for town meeting to roll around. So that was part of the idea. We're not intending to water it down, again, for people, who are listening in. And this will be a public hearing, which is going to open the next time, but we can have a brief discussion this evening if anybody wants to put in a comment. And we will take all of those comments on board.
Right. So let's go to the commission to see if there's anyone that has comments. Ed, do you have any comments on the purpose of what we're doing here? Sarah? Bill?
Just to see if I got it straight in my head, in order to change this bylaw
Yes.
and extract part of it into the regulations, that has to go to town meeting,
Right.
the new bylaw. Any changes to the regulations?
Well, we don't have any regulations.
No, I'm saying, but if the creation of regulations, if they include only exactly what's currently in the bylaw, will that still require to have its own public hearing to create the new regulations?
Yeah.
I think we should, no matter
should,
what.
whether it's required or not.
We want it to be a very transparent process.
Okay.
The only thing I noticed when I was looking at taking all the stuff in the bylaw and moving it into regulations, the regulations kind of need like an introduction. You need kind of like an introduction to introduce what the purpose of the regulations are. So we might be writing some new language to say, this is the purpose of these regulations, which are to support the stormwater bylaw.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Indra?
So we are taking off from the bylaws totally and putting it in the regulations, correct?
We're going to take all the performance, we're going to take the applicability thresholds that are in the bylaw and put them in the regulations. We're going to take all the performance standards, okay, that are in there and put them in the regulations. And we're going to leave things that leave us with the authority, the ability to grant a waiver and things like that in as the bylaw. And that's the way, frankly, our wetlands, that's the way the state Wetlands Protection Act and its regulations operate. That's the way our wetlands bylaw and our wetlands regulations operate. And we're trying to make this consistent the same way.
Right. And most other towns have both. And they
Most have
They have their details in the regulations.
Right.
So most of the foundations have both, but in our case, it would be only in the regulations. We are taking out from the bylaws.
No, they don't keep it in both. Normally, people don't put the detailed performance standards in the bylaw because it's very difficult to change.
True.
If someone came to us and said, this isn't really working about what we have in there for trees, for example, if there was something, then
So flexibility is there.
we
If
can
it's
have a
in the reg-
discussion here to talk to them of why it's not working or what flexibility needs to be put inside.
Correct.
Or theoretically, if we want, I mean, to be honest, if we wanted to make something more strict, I don't have anything in mind, it also gives us the ability to hold a hearing and talk about that as well.
But I've seen some things in front of town meeting where they misnumbered the sub-chapters in it, they had 2 number 1s and something. So they actually have to go back to town meeting to correct something as simple as that,
Right.
Right,
so this would eliminate that from,
okay.
Exactly.
Big
There will
trivial
be a
stuff going to
much
town.
more flexibility for us.
Exactly.
All right, so Rob, anything more on this?
I guess, so this is town bylaws, Article 14, mostly, I think it's part 6, is
Yes.
that correct? Okay. Yeah, I read through it, and it does seem like there's quite a bit that, like references a lot of the, I think, the state standards as well, I think. So, yeah, it does seem like there's quite a bit in there, and it could be.
There is. Well, originally,
It's a very dense bylaw.
Yeah.
yeah, originally, this bylaw was created in, actually, I drafted it in 2003 or 4, something like that. When they first came out with the MS4, it was required as part of the state's MS, or the EPA's MS4 permit process. And they said, for municipal stormwater handling, you have to create erosion and sedimentation control bylaw. And essentially, I wrote that draft, and at the time, I put in everything I could think of into the draft.
So we have to go to the town meeting for this?
Yes, we'll have to go to the town meeting, and the bylaw will be, asking them to approve will be substantially more straightforward and simpler.
And that goal would be what, January town meeting?
The aim would be January,
Okay.
if we're all in agreement.
Let's go to see if there's anyone else who has comment. I see on the web, we have Susan Cadillac, who is a well-known builder in town. Do you have any comments at all so far on this?
No, I mean, I think it's helpful to hear the explanation. I'll definitely be back on the 26th. I'll probably have 100 questions at that point, but thank you for the explanation.
Right.
That's helpful. And I'll wait till the 26th if that's when you advertise the hearing, and I'll
I
bring
mean,
questions.
assuming if you do have questions, comments, or issues that are problematic for discussion, that's why we're having a public hearing as well, for those to be heard and dealt with if need be.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can ask questions now, or I can wait, whatever's. I guess my only question right now that I would have is, which you may not know the answer to yet, is if there was going to be a change, in the regulation, what the process is for that.
With what?
Process for changes to the regulations.
Oh, the process for changing regulations?
Is that what you're asking, Susan? What is the process for
Yes.
changing regulations? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Oh.
So like if this were to move, I guess I'm wondering like what the purpose is to move it to the regulations. Is it a different process if you wanted to change the standards than what it is right now?
What we have done multiple times, particularly for the wetlands regulations that we have a set of wetlands regulations. We have changed them a number of times. And we've had some hearings that we have held open for multiple meetings to make sure that everyone's had a chance. And in fact, when we've done that and we think it's a substantial change, we have tried to reach out to people we think who might be interested in the business community. And we have gotten comments, and we have tried to deal with it, those comments, so that I think they're reasonably satisfied that they were fair. So it would be a public hearing, and it would not be at least in my experience, if previous experience is predictive of future behavior, it would not be a particularly fast process if we were proposing to make a substantial, what we might call an upgrade, or substantial changes, or handle substantial issues. It would be a lengthy process where the hearing would be held open multiple times, and we would try to do some outreach to people who might be affected by it.
Okay, but ultimately the decision makers will shift from the town meeting representation to the board, is that correct?
For the details in the regulations, yes. For
Okay.
things related to the authority for the stormwater permit program, for the ability to grant waivers, for the ability to require performance surety, for the ability to require a peer review for a complicated project. All of that is currently in the bylaw, and all of that would remain in the bylaw, and only, if we were proposing changes, only town meeting would have the authority to approve those changes.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
So we're not, just to clarify, we're not proposing that this would be any different than how we've handled the regulations multiple times for the Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14.
Right, but this applies more broadly than those regulations, right?
Right.
Okay.
All right. So we can continue other matters for discussion at the September 26th, the details. And
And that will officially be a public hearing, right?
that will
Open
officially
public
be a
hearing at that
public
time.
hearing, and people will be invited to submit written comments if they would like, or verbal comments.
Susan, I'll try to remember to send you the agenda as well, because I know you'll be an interested party. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
That's very good. Thank you for taking time to join us. Okay,
Can I make a quick comment?
yes.
Just again, Paul Campbell, Chess Engineering. My former life, I was the town engineer in Acton, and I wrote their stormwater regulations.
Yes.
So, very good conversation. Two pieces of advice, that's great to do that. I definitely would take all the performance stuff and put them into regulations. And then two, you guys might want to look at what other regulations like subdivision and site plan, and make sure everything's coming to this set of regulations as the stormwater for the whole town. Because in Acton, we had different sets of performance standards all over the place, and
So through the planning board, you had a different set of performance standards?
yeah, exactly. And then when the Acton adopted a bylaw, then the bylaw, the committee developed regulations. We still had planning board with their own regulations.
And they weren't all necessarily agreeing?
Exactly, yeah. So that was like one of my last tasks before I left Acton, was to get them all down, and now it's just one set of regulations.
So did you leave Acton and went into your self-business now?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So, but no, it definitely like consolidated all down so that there's one place. And then you don't have competing, we had a situation where in Acton where if a project was near a wetland, it had less standards for stormwater than if it was away, which made no sense, the way the bylaws and regs were written. So, yeah, definitely take time to carefully
Very
put
good
that
point
together.
for us to make note of.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good night.
You too. Good night.
Yeah, because like the Board of Health has some flooding
Very good
requirements and
point.
stuff, right? The Board of Health has some flooding
Right,
regulations of some
and
sort.
that, I'm going to talk to Board of Health staff, now that we're kind of in this process, just to make sure we're all okay and we're all on the same
Yeah, yeah.
page. Theirs are really more about, their title is slightly different, it's more about,
Drainage.
yes, stormwater drainage.
I was just,
So-
but
Well,
based on his advice, we
But
just want to
exactly,
make sure they
to
don't
make sure
conflict at
everything's
all.
consistent and there aren't any,
And the Board of Health, it's not a permit program.
No.
That is more mandated to do, okay? It is more of a regulation to be enforced.
yes, they do. Part of the reason why they even have that is because, my understanding, a few years ago, our thresholds were a little bit higher, and they were trying to make sure they were also in some way capturing some of the smaller projects with at least by capturing stormwater in some manner. So that was a really good point. We just make sure that we're consistent across the
So
board.
you folks will be checking to the planning board and checking to the Board of Health to see,
Yep.
is there ever overlap?
Yes,
I see, okay.
but that was a point very well taken by
The voice of
Make sure all the
experience.
zoning stuff fits too, yes, exactly.
All right, so we can move on from this discussion. Since it's a discussion and we'll open a hearing, we can just move to the next agenda item. I'd like to skip down to other business. We have an enforcement order at 86 Mill Street. It was the cutting of trees near the bank of Sawmill Brook. And it looked to me like there's anywhere from 6 trees presently cut maybe, and maybe a couple more previously cut. Are there somebody here for that? Are you for?
Yeah, 86 Mill Street.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now.
Yeah, come on up.
Hi,
Hi there.
how are you?
Good, how are you tonight?
Sorry, my English a little bit. My sister not she trained for me, okay?
That's fine.
Thank you, yeah.
Thank you for attending.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so Eileen, we have a situation where you noticed there was some tree cutting, and you,
Right, I noticed there was some tree cutting. I actually just happened to be passing, and I could see the homeowner at the end of the driveway, so I called to him to ask if I could just talk to him about it, and he let me come on and take a look at the trees. So Lucy's sharing the pictures right now. They had taken down between 4, it may have been only 4, but between 4 and 6 pretty good-sized trees in the backyard. The homeowner explained that one had fallen down, I think that's what he was telling me, that one had fallen down last winter, and he was afraid that the others, if the others fell down, it would be a terrible calamity, so he just decided to go ahead and take them down. Unfortunately for him and for us, these trees were all within 50 to 80 feet of, 50 to 100 feet of Sawmill Brook.
Eileen, could you please explain to these people how it would have been done had they come to us? What the considerations would have been?
Well, do you mind telling us your names? Because I don't know.
Yeah, my husband name Vinny, but I'm Lee. But he sick today. He can't come because he had a lot of poison ivy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because a lot. Yeah.
My
that's
name
why.
is Tophan.
Tofam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
sorry.
we very sorry. I don't know. I don't good English. That's why she helped me. You know. Yeah. I don't
So
know.
Vinny and Lee came in front of the commission about 14 years ago when they were
14 năm trước
going
là
to.
anh có mặt ở đây.
Do you need me to talk more slowly? I'm sorry.
It's okay, yeah, I can translate. Thank you.
When they wanted to build their addition, they needed to get a permit from conservation, and it would have been the same process. Do you want to, I was just going to say, it would have been the same process to take the trees down.
And you explain about the assessment of the trees? Yeah.
Oh, that time he in Vietnam. Yeah, but we don't know. You know. Yeah. Because couple of years he very city in Vietnam. You know. Yeah.
No, you got a permit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a
Yeah.
permit when you
Yeah.
built your addition.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that in order to do the permit, in order to do that, you had to apply to conservation. And it would be the same process here. So you would apply through a request for determination of applicability. We would have come out and taken a look at the trees, and we would have you have an arborist, a tree expert, to look at the trees and determine whether they were actually in danger. Because they're very close to the stream and they provide a lot of benefits to the stream. You want to?
Sorry. Yeah.
Hey, coi như là 14 năm trước là lúc mà chị thêm á, lúc mà xây nhà á, là anh Vinh
Let me keep going.
cái xin phép để làm.
Just remember
Đúng
she
là
is.
mình cũng không làm
Yeah.
y chang vậy. Để nói là mình biết.
Sorry.
So normally, the process that we follow is when you come to us and you're within 100 feet of a stream or a wetland, we go out and look at the trees, and then if you want to take down some really big trees that may or may not be healthy, we ask you to hire a certified arborist, and he does a report. If he sees insects, or the tree is split, or it's in danger of its leaning, or it might fall down, he will say that.
Sorry, I just,
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, là anh ông nói nếu mà mình xin phép á, thì anh sẽ cho người chuyên về cái đó. Mình nó được rồi, nó cho phép á,
Getting
there.
thì ông sẽ xuống, ông coi nó có gãy, hay bị mối mọt hay là ấy thì mình mới biết. Rồi ông sẽ
Yeah.
có cách.
Sorry, I don't know. If I know, I do that easy for me. You
Yeah.
know. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
She didn't know that when she cut the tree in her backyard, she need to
Because I
get the
nervous when the
permission.
windy. You know, they rock and cut the tree before. That's why I'm so nervous. You know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of times, it is justified by the expert to take down a tree. But just as many times, the tree is very healthy. It's 18 inches, 2 feet in diameter, going straight up. It is considered a hardwood tree, and it doesn't come down that easy.
Ông nói mấy cái cây á mà 18, 20 inch là mấy cây đó nó khỏe lắm.
Yeah.
Mấy ông nói là nó không có gãy. Nên là mấy cây đó nó có lợi cho cái dòng nước của nước mình.
Yeah. But before one tree, very big tree. I don't know what happened. The winds, they block and they move the roof.
Yeah,
up.
I know, one tree came down. We-
Yeah. And
we
two times.
Twice, okay.
Yeah. I'm so nervous when I sleep. You know, boom. I'm so nervous. You know. Yeah. But why I save money a lot. Couple of years, I had enough money for cut. I don't know. If I know, I don't cut. You know. we don't have money. I save money about 3 years, and I have enough money for cut that.
Well, we may or may not have approved taking down trees. We do approve taking down trees if they are unhealthy, or
Yeah.
they may come down.
Yeah.
Giờ là chị chỉ nói là bây giờ chị nói cái vấn đề là chị không có biết cho nên là
But really sorry, I don't know. You
Yes,
know,
you
if
didn't
I,
know the
yeah,
process,
Yeah, if I know, I
I
come here easy, and you help me. You know, yeah.
So now we're in a situation where the regulations require us to maintain trees that are along a stream for the health of the stream. Okay, and you have removed the streams, so we call that a violation.
tại vì mấy cái cây mà chị chặt á là nó sẽ thay đổi cái dòng nước, nó sẽ gây cái chuyện khác, cho nên là vì vậy. Dạ. Giờ thì
Oh,
what
but I don't know
So-
what I do. Very sorry, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
So what happened is happened. So now we come to know the plan. What should we do to restore?
That's what we're here for. We're
Yeah,
here
yeah,
to
yeah.
determine what to do.
Yeah, but very sorry. You know, yeah.
Both state law and our local wetlands law requires us to help the stream, promote the natural resource by replanting trees when they're taken down along a stream and things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what is required at your site to restore what's been taken down.
Dạ, bây giờ là cái luật bây giờ thì phải trồng lại cái khu đó để nó đỡ cho giữ lại cái dòng nước á. Bây giờ mấy ông sẽ nói cho mình biết mấy ông, kế hoạch của mấy ông.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will now go to our Conservation Administrator, Eileen, and ask for her opinion on what she thinks we should be doing, and then we will have a discussion. Okay?
So Vinnie told me that 4 trees were taken down, which does kind of match. If she said 2 trees had fallen down before, let's just assume it was 4. I would suggest that they do replant at least 4 native trees, more if you suggest, but,
Yêu cầu lại gốc.
and do
Oh,
some
that's-
cleanup along banks is what I would suggest. And near
Nó
the,
có một cái cây nó dĩnh lên bút gốc.
on town land, where
Công
we may or may not.
Is that town line behind there?
Lucy had a good look at the aerials, and it did look like, oh, well, she did look at the aerials, and it did look like there was maybe some activity that was going over into town land. So that would be my suggestion, replanting 4 trees. Not tiny, maybe just suggest, but not huge, they're not hugely expensive. Maybe, we've asked before for a 2-inch caliper, that might be a fair start. But that would be my suggestion. So we did issue an enforcement order, so I think the process we would do is, whatever you guys agree on, I'll update the enforcement order, and we'll continue with it under the enforcement order, if you're amenable to that.
All
Rather
right,
than-
so
or
let
we
me,
could ask for
let me
another filing.
clarify to them first.
Okay.
Eileen is recommending that you should be required to replant 4 pretty good-sized trees to replace what was taken down.
Trồng vào 4 cây, mà cái cây đó là phải bự gốc. Mua cái cây nó bự sẵn. And she said there's some stumps still left over. You think that can be, they grow?
I would think they can take the stumps out.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can take the stumps.
I did ask them to stop. By the time I got there, just to clarify, by the time I got there, they were down to stumps, and I said, don't do any more work, leave everything. Okay, that's why they're still there.
What is their plan? Do they plan to take them out or leave them?
Oh, I assume they're.
The
planning
stumps
on-
of the trees,
Did-
what
did-
is your plan?
I think they asked for
Là chị, là cái ông nói là cái stump đó lúc mà chị tính là cũng đâu có tính bứng gốc.
Không.
Yeah, she just planned to cut down the top part.
Cut the
because
top.
she's afraid they
Yeah,
fall.
I worried they fell and hit me. I don't want to move the roof because, yeah.
It's very expensive,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
so
yeah.
she
But one time I remember the wind, the roof moved up too. Yeah.
one tree is later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We understand that part?
Yeah, yeah.
What, you cut it down to just a small part, a stump? What, was their plan to remove the stumps?
Chị có kế hoạch
She
là
said no.
move luôn
Oh, I
cái stump.
Không. Yeah,
She say no, she didn't plan to move the stump.
Yeah.
That's fine, that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
Thank you. Yeah.
I misunderstood. They said that, Lucy understood it.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Stay?
in addition, what Eileen is recommending is that you need to clean up that area in the back of the yard there. You also have debris and all kinds of stuff along the bank of the brook, and the property in back of you belongs to the town of Burlington. You have debris and other stuff there on town-owned land.
Coi như là cái phía đằng sau của nhà chị á, có rất là nhiều loại rác, tùm lum thứ rồi đó. Bắt mình phải dọn hết.
Dạ hả?
Giờ phải đến cái đằng sau.
Em mở cái chỗ mà hô cái album này.
We're just showing that
Nhưng mà
Well, she's
cái họ nói là
translating,
không có liên quan tới cái hành vi
we're showing
mà họ muốn
within
chị
20 or 30 feet of
Chị biết không, nhưng mà có
nó nằm cái đó là thuộc về của thằng Burlington.
cái cây gãy này.
Không, cái đó mấy ông biết.
No, no, I want to show you the tree before they rock and they hit my house. You see? Yeah, they fall down. Yeah, this one the tree.
That the tree is
That
falling,
2 years ago. Yeah.
2 years ago is
When you come, the guy they clean already. That's why you don't see. You know.
What is that a picture of?
the tree fall down close
Tree
to
that
her
fell
house.
down?
Yeah, yeah. It's where when the storm come.
Oh, boy. Big tree, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big tree.
Yeah, big tree. They healthy too, but when the wind, you know. Yeah, that's why.
The storm, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
When you come and the guy he clean already, you know.
Yep.
2 years ago.
Sure. So, so the area all along the brook,
Cái dọc cái này cái đó là
along your property,
mình phải clean it.
needs to be cleaned up,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
I saw a wheelbarrow, there's a chair, there's a fence. All of that needs to be cleaned up. It needs to be restored to what it's supposed to look like. And I think a couple of the trees will probably want along the stream somewhere, like within 20 feet or something like that.
If they're open to that, that would be nice.
Yeah, we'd like to put a couple of the trees within 20 feet of the stream.
Trong vòng 20 feet dọc theo cái dòng mà đó nó sẽ bỏ mấy cái cây mà cắt ra những cái ba mấy cây mà.
Yeah.
Okay. And our staff, Eileen and Lucy, will write up a revised enforcement order with more detail in it.
Thì họ sẽ có kế hoạch cụ thể.
I think that's probably the best way to go, rather than making them do
Hai
new
cô này
filing.
sẽ cho mình biết cái kế hoạch như
Well, the question is, do they need to hire a professional?
Giờ thấy cái đằng sau đó.
You mean to do an
Dạ,
application?
thoải mái.
No, I'm suggesting that they don't do an
Yeah, and
application.
we
We'll do it
will-
through the enforcement order, and then they just have to do the process. They have to do the planting and the cleanup.
Just do the work.
Yeah?
Do they have to hire,
Might be the best.
do they have to hire
Không thấy mấy ông cũng biết.
any particular type of person?
Đó bởi vì
I don't think so. I think
nhưng mà
I
này cái cây nó
having
gọn
that
gãy
person
mà
to
cũng
just
sợ
do
nè.
the tidy up for them. And then,
Không biết.
I don't know, whoever they want to plant the trees.
I would think they would need a dumpster more than a tidy
Yeah,
up.
that's,
Cái chính
However they remove it.
của mình là phải đi dọn cái đó.
All right, so let's,
just sorry what happened.
gonna go now,
Before
I'm
that,
gonna go to
the tree
commission
they
and see.
die. That's why I'm nervous. The tree they die. You know, that's why I worry. Yeah.
Yeah,
This one time I cut one more. This one too. Yeah. They come, they hit and we cut like that too. Yeah.
right.
That's why I'm so nervous.
if you had come to us in
Yes,
advance, we would have said the tree like that,
Yeah,
it's
if I
fine to
know,
take
you
it
know,
down, so.
if I don't know, that's why sorry.
Right, but if we would have said, yes, take that down, because it's obviously dead, it's obviously a threat, so that's not a big deal.
Hit the rain and the wind, you know, they go this side. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened. You know, they hit the tree all the time.
We understand.
Yeah, yeah. They
Okay.
I think,
All right, so I'm going to go around and see if any of the commissioners have comments. Okay, so we're going to see if you have anything, Ed, more in this?
I'm trying to think, you mentioned something like maybe bringing in a big dumpster.
So I better talk loud and slow so you hear it.
I don't think we need to specify that.
No?
Well, I mean, it's
Just
up to them
remove
how
the
they
stuff.
get it off, just move
Yeah.
it.
They wanna do it a car.
Disposed in a legal manner.
Yeah, right, I'll put that in the EO, okay?
Just the thoughts of how you go about getting
Right.
it all out of there. That's gonna take quite a lot of work.
All right. Sarah?
I noticed there was stuff also in the stream, like a big wire, rusty, I don't know what it was. It looked almost like a mattress inside.
Có trong cái dòng nước đó, có cái kẽm gì á, bạn không biết đó là gì, chị biết không? Cái kẽm nồi luôn. Mấy cái lobster lấy hết rồi.
we don't know.
She didn't know.
I think it'd be important to
She
try
doesn't
to make
know.
the stream cleaner and
Yeah,
near
yeah.
the stream. It
Yeah.
has a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
Trash.
Okay, we check it.
However you want to get rid of
Or
it.
maybe the owner, before they worry the baby go down, that's why they move the land, the owner before, you know?
Yeah.
I don't,
Somebody put it there.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
who,
yeah.
but-
They worry the baby go in
No,
the
that-
water.
That wouldn't have stopped a baby from going.
No,
Nó nằm trong cái dòng.
There was a sort of a
It
fence
looked like a
along
very
there, that's
Oh,
what,
I didn't mean a
but
fence.
not
baby
the
arrangement.
item in there.
No,
There was
we're
something
talking about
actually in the
that
stream.
Nó nằm
There was
trong
another
cái
one
dòng
just like it
luôn.
leaning against the shed, so
Ngoài cái
obviously
dòng.
it's something that they're
It
familiar with.
looked like the same thing.
Yeah.
Two of those things,
Just
whatever.
All right, let me go to Rob.
Yes, I think, suggestions of one-to-one placement. Sounds,
With a native tree.
yeah, of nature, sounds good. And then I think cleaning up too is along there. I think it flows down past Rihanna's. There's that little turtle bridge thing. There's frogs in there.
Yes, but
So-
they don't own all the way down to there. They would just have to clean up.
Yeah, but just clean, that it is, sort of-
Yeah.
as especially if it goes close to the town property.
Right.
All right, Indra, anything
I
further?
was saying that whatever you said, I think everything should be in writing, and if Eileen can talk with them, because they have obviously language problem.
Yeah.
And whoever they hire, even to clean up or whatever, they can show that paper also. And then you have to go there.
Right. Okay.
All right. Bill?
Just to try to clarify a little bit, our job is to enforce the laws that protect the stream. And that includes a 20-foot no disturb. Anything from the bank of the stream and 20 foot on your property must not be disturbed.
Nói chung từ cái dòng mà sông á, để tới 25 feet, 25 feet là không có được.
Sorry, I don't understand, transfer for me, sorry.
Yeah, so any of the trash that's there, or even lawn furniture or anything, there should be nothing in that area except natural vegetation. And that, because that barrier helps to protect the stream and the bank and the animals that live and use the stream. So that part is called do not disturb. And that's the area that we think needs to be cleaned up, the 20 foot from the stream. And then behind the shed, it appears that the property line goes just about the back of the shed. Anything beyond that is on somebody else's property,
Town property.
town property, but whoever's property it is, your stuff shouldn't be there.
Có biết cái area của nhà chị không? Chắc phải kêu người xuống.
Because I really want to do the garden, but when I go outside, the poison ivy, too much. That's why I'm so nervous. I don't go outside too much. Yeah.
Mà chị
yeah.
biết bây giờ cái lãnh thổ của nhà chị không? Phải thấy từ cái nhà kho á, là đằng sau lưng đó là
Ra
lãnh thổ
thuốc
của
kia
Thảo
hả?
đó, từ cái nhà kho á. So she maybe she needs to clarify where is her land so she can do better
We
in
just-
maintenance
just
things
by
around
eye-
because it
Just by
seems.
eye, we went to the extended the neighbor's fence to the back of your shed, and that looks, and looking at some maps that we had, that's an approximation.
You have a map so we can try to, because it seems she didn't know where is her stop.
We do, but it's just an estimate. We don't have her surveyed plan, but we can give you a good idea
Yeah,
of,
yeah, I think
from
she
what
need
Lucy
that,
and I are going to provide that for you.
because she seemed didn't know where her land should stop at.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
So that's it. I mean, mostly,
Để chị biết cái chỗ nào nhà của chị.
the corrections we're looking for are to plant 4 trees and to clean up the areas that should not
Yeah.
have your debris on it. And that's all we're asking.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you need to clean up,
Yeah.
both on your own property and over the line on someone else's property, which we think is town of Burlington property.
Ở nhà chị là có một cái khu là gần sát với chị là của town.
Yeah,
Bây giờ
ở
mình
sau
biết cái
ở
nào.
sau gần cái tennis
dọn hết.
yeah,
Phải
yeah,
dọn. Cho nên bây giờ để lấy cái nào biết của chị để chị biết, nhưng mà nói phải dọn bố cả hai.
Yeah, I will, because right now we need to clean, better, Because now no more poison ivy. I don't scare. Maybe I go outside better, Before I so nervous about the
I
poison.
mean, if it was me and I wanted to clean up all that property, I would have a dumpster placed and fill up the dumpster with all the stuff and then just have them take it away.
Yeah, I
That-
told her the same thing.
That's what I would do if it was me.
Em muốn cái dumpster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
For frequently with something like an enforcement order, we're looking for a restoration plan, and we like to give them a date. It might be a good idea to give them a date by which we want this done, because it is an enforcement order. What would you suggest? Enough time for them to hire somebody and do it, but not so it's the middle of, snow.
That spring, or is that too long?
What do you think? Should it be done this fall?
I would prefer that it's done this fall, but I don't want to put them under too much pressure either, because we're all so.
Make it the end of the year?
Make it by the end of the year.
December 31st?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, thank you,
Yeah.
All right.
Get it done in November,
Now-
all the better.
You will get a revised enforcement order telling you that you have to do this. If you have any questions, you can come into the office and talk to Lucy
Yeah.
or talk to Eileen, and they will discuss it with you, okay? If you have any
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, I don't do that anymore. If no, I come here, I'm so nervous. I want she help me, she work, and, I don't understand. My husband, he, Poison Ivy, he can go out. That's why, and only want me.
She is doing a very good job for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stand off.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Cụ thể.
I think we're all set, right?
Thank you so
I
much.
think that's all we need. I'm going to say, is it okay to say 2-inch caliper trees, or is that
Minimum.
going too
It's-
far?
That's minimum.
Yeah, okay, because they're substantial trees that
They
came.
normally, those trees that are at that caliper, they normally are specified like 2 to 2.5 is the way they are. So the 2 has to be the
Một
minimum.
cái cây đúng không? Nó-
Alright.
Cái cây mà nó bự sẵn rồi đó, cái cây mà bự. Để coi
New
coi.
fence.
Yes.
Khi, dạ không, bà sẽ đưa cho mình cái
Yeah, we're going to say,
They
like,
don't just stop.
nhưng mà
Yeah,
we're going to sort of specify 20 feet, like, not make it the whole yard, because that's their
bây
problem.
giờ bà chưa có giá cho mình đâu.
Yes, like
Bà sẽ
that,
đưa
like
mình một cái
The white fence and then the equivalent.
All along the whole bank.
Distance, yeah.
I would suggest you make it as explicit as possible
Yes.
relative to what we saw,
Yes,
if you know what I mean.
Show it on a map?
yes.
the
We were just talking about
This
that.
area
Well,
must be
yes,
clean.
we're going to give them a plan or
Great,
something, yeah.
great,
If
perfect.
it should be done by a pro, if people are getting poison ivy, I mean,
Yeah.
that's not a job for an amateur.
Yeah.
No.
A lot of Poison Ivy, a
Yes.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
poison ivy is,
You see, I show you, a lot of Poison Ivy. But right now, my husband, he can go out all,
yeah, you
yeah,
can't.
look horrible.
You want to know a secret about poison ivy? This is really useful. If you ever get it on your skin, you know you touched the plant. If you take dish soap, like what
Oh.
you use to wash dishes,
Oh.
and wash yourself with dish soap
Okay.
within an hour.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay, thank you.
It's an oil that gets on your skin.
Oh.
I do that all the time. Every
Oh,
time I
that's
touch it, I go home.
Oh, okay, that's simple. Yeah, thank you. I will tell her.
Yeah.
I've never gone.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh.
Bà nói chị,
Sounds like a
bà
hot.
nói chừng nào bị lấy nước rửa chén hả chị?
Yeah.
Oh, that looks so
All right.
pleasant.
Okay, so I think we're all set here.
Yep,
Okay,
thank you.
you'll get some mail from us.
Yeah.
It's called a revised enforcement order.
Yeah,
Oh, yes. That's.
Are you the
it
person I
loves
spoke to on
growing
the
growing.
phone?
yeah.
Okay, so I have your number.
Yeah, and you can send email too for the plan. so in
Right, I'm
case-
just wondering if
Yeah.
Do
thank
you have all,
call you to help with,
Yeah.
make sure they
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
you have all their contact information?
Yes. Tofam?
Yeah, chụp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She called to just say she'd be helping them with the process, so we're just going to make sure we will have her help with this too.
That's
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
Before she living with me, the baby Poison Ivy, that's why she moved. Before she living with me before.
Yeah, we share with her. We moved from California and we share a house with her.
Oh,
Yeah,
But, yeah, and we
Yeah.
Very good. Well,
Yeah.
when did you move here?
2014. Yeah,
2014?
yeah, and we have a nail salon just opened at Shopee Plaza.
Oh, very
So,
good.
yeah.
Very good.
Congratulations.
So,
Sounds good. Thank you very much for coming in.
thank you so much.
Okay, have a good evening.
Thank you very much and very, very sorry, okay? Yeah, I know I do wrong, but sorry, yeah.
We'll get it taken care of.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you, okay. Good night.
Good night, have a good evening.
Giờ sao Trúc bây giờ?
Okay, so let's go back. Planning board comments, anyone? Bye-bye. Planning board comments?
I do not think we have anything to give them or anything to tell you from them, no.
Okay, subcommittee and staff reports, anything from anyone?
Well, we're working on the stormwater bylaw.
I did not, I did not,
Couldn't resist it.
I did not know that. Okay. Enforcement order, 86 Mill Street, we did that.
I had one other item just to bring up under other business, just because it's something that I'm curious about. I noticed in our two bylaws, we use different terminology. In the stormwater bylaw, it says a certificate of completion, and in the wetland bylaw, it says a certificate of compliance.
Right.
Is that intentional, or is that,
Well,
do you
it was
make them the
really
same?
before my time, but I like to use it intentionally to distinguish them, because a certificate of compliance is very much like a known entity. It's under the Wetlands Protection Act. When you close out your project,
Right.
you're given a certificate of compliance. So just the word completion, it just distinguishes it a little, that it's not a wetland permit, but it really doesn't matter. If you guys prefer to call it certificate of compliance, we can make that change.
I think it
Okay.
should be said like certificate of completion in compliance with the regulations or bylaws, whatever.
I just was curious about if there was a reason for that difference, and if we wanted to make them the same, we could do it when we work on the bylaw.
We can, it's up to you. Larry, did you come up with the term certificate of completion?
No, but I'm going to defer to the collective wisdom of the commission on this one.
I like it being different just because
I just don't,
it just distinguishes it.
I don't care.
Okay, so it is a different
But I don't
document.
feel very strongly about
Yeah,
it.
oh, no, that's fine, as long as there's some rational reason for it, I'm fine. I just was curious if there was, and that makes sense, that it identifies it as a different document.
But maybe that's just a me thing. Maybe that's just how I think about it.
All right, moving along. Upcoming meetings are September 26th, and the meeting after that will occur on October 10th. Anything further? Could I have a motion to adjourn this meeting of Burlington's Conservation Commission?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? 600, approved.